Republicans finally expected to reveal their tax plan this week, but reports say it's not going to be big and bold with tax cuts for all that President Trump promised. Someone here says if we don't get those big and bold cuts, we won't get the economic boom that we need. Hi, everyone. I'm Melissa Francis, and welcome to Cashin' In, our Cashin' In crew this week. We've got Jessica Tarlov, Gary Kaltbaum, and Scott Martin, all stars in my opinion. Welcome, everyone.
Hi.
Gary, let me start with you. Does our economy need big and bold tax cuts this week?
We need it big time. You know, the trajectory of this country for years has been higher taxes and major government spending. And unfortunately, I don't think we're getting big and bold. I think we're going to get small and wimpy. Right now, they're talking about $1.5 trillion over 10 years. Let me put this in perspective. Over the next 10 years, we're going to send them between $35 and $40 trillion of our tax dollars. So $1.5 trillion is a drop in the bucket. They need to do a lot better, but unfortunately, I think they're scared of their own shadows right now.
I don't know, Jessica. I mean, the president seems like he's all about making deals with the Democrats.
Yeah, but we like small and wimpy tax cuts, so that could be the big grand bargain here. I don't think that would bother Democrats one bit if there wasn't a slashing of the top rate of tax. Where I do think that we should go big and bold, though, is on the corporate rate. I think that that's where the negotiation can really be, and that would be a boon for our
Wait. You are calling for corporate tax cuts?
I am, and I've even done it before, and I shall do it again later today, I'm sure. No, I think it's important, and I think it's smart. I mean, under Democrat and Republican presidents, we've seen great success in slashing that rate. We'd love to repatriate that money. We need to talk, obviously, about how much to tax when it does come back here, but I think that's where the conversation can be led by Heidi Heitkamp, Claire McCaskill, Joe Manchin, people in red states who are up against Trump took West Virginia by 42 points.
Right.
I mean, these deals have to be done. But the personal rate, if you're giving billionaires a tax break, like Trump himself getting rid of the estate tax, that's a no-go.
Scott, you know, what's interesting is that most of the new folks that join that top 1% or 0.001% or whatever it is, they're Democrats. I mean, you look at the research that Forbes has, that's what it shows. So Jessica's saying don't give those Dems a tax cut at the very top.
Well, look, if you look back in the last few years, Melissa, this economy has suffered under oppressive tax regime and anti-growth tax policy. And don't forget, I mean, back when Trump was on the campaign trail, he talked about taxes you could do on a postcard. We recently heard phenomenal tax reform, the biggest tax cut America's ever seen. And now it is wimpy and weak. And it's really sad to see that as an American that's hoping for better things in the economy, hoping for real job growth, not just, say, blue-collar jobs, but high-paying jobs finally being created in this economy. It's not going to happen with tax policy not being completely overwhelmed here with respect to some sort of good changes that we've finally been promised for, what, now, months?
But we don't know that, Gary. I mean, we haven't seen the details. You guys are anticipating that they're going to be little and wimpy. I mean, I personally think that they're going to talk about repatriating those dollars that Jessica mentioned. But if you read the tea leaves, it sounds like they're going to tie it to infrastructure spending. I mean, there's a lot going on that we don't know yet that seems to be out there possibly.
Corporate tax cut, fine. Repatriation, a better number, fine. But you have to do something about the individual. And I keep hearing about the privileged few, the wealthy, shouldn't get anything. I got news for you. They're the producers. And how do you tell somebody, especially in states like California, New York, you have to work into the month of July and August before you make your first dollar? I've got to tell you, the people that are successful, the people that are hiring, the people that are growing should be rewarded with keeping more of their money. I think you do it across the board. And let me add one more thing. It is not very often that a political party gets and can get their way. The Democrats had it for 2 years, and they did what they want with Obamacare and higher taxes. This would be a gargantuan missed opportunity if they don't go for the big enchilada and they do these little piecemeal things. We have got to change the trajectory of taxes and spending, which we haven't even got to yet.
Okay, so Jessica, though, if they did across-the-board tax cuts for everyone, does it take away the Democratic talking point that it's tax cuts for the rich if it's tax cuts for everyone? Or do you absolutely have to keep that top rate where it is, even if they're the only ones, just to keep the talking point at bay?
Oh, well, Democrats will use the talking point no matter what. I mean, literally, the lower and middle classes could get a huge tax cut and would still talk about the 0.5% that came up for the wealthy because that's what's working right now. And Donald Trump himself even campaigned similarly to Bernie Sanders on economic populism and saying, we got to go after the hedge fund managers. We should go after me, he even said, right? Like, we shouldn't have such disparity. Income inequality is a huge problem. Hey there, people who are struggling, vote for me, even though I'm the guy with the golden toilet or whatever. So he does. He has a gold toilet, right? I've
Really?
seen
Have you been there? Have you used it?
I have not used
No.
Donald Trump's toilet,
Okay.
but I feel like it has been pictured. Anyway, the point is that Democrats will talk about the problems with the wealthy, and you're right that there are tons of Democrats who are getting into the 0.0001%. But not calling for tax cuts for themselves, right? That's not what they're doing. That's not our talking point about it. So the argument will continue to go back and forth just in this way.
Yeah, Scott, what do you think? What's the final outcome here? Because we need this boost. We need this stimulation to the economy. This is what the president was elected for. This is his big opportunity.
The outcome is that I'm probably going to buy a golden toilet this weekend, certainly. But you know what's interesting,
flushes.
Melissa?
I am not. For the record, I am not. But anyway, yeah.
Per the Fox News alert we had earlier on the show here, with respect to Jessica Tarlov calling for corporate tax rates to be slashed. I mean, look, this could actually work out. If we get a bipartisan agreement on some sort of tax cut or tax reform, my goodness, the Democrats could actually take some credit for growing the economy after what,
Well,
the last
we do. I think it
15
did pretty
years?
well under President Obama, considering what he inherited.
Oh my
What,
gosh.
2%?
Let's not go down that road.
Oh,
Let's
I'm
not
down.
go down
I'm
that
down the
sending-
toilet bowl of that one.
I am
for sure.
sending
toilet,
Jessica.
please. Yes.
I'm
Go ahead,
sending
Gary.
Jessica a Republican Party button because Jessica sounds like she's coming to the dark side finally. But I just want to mention spending. Spending's going to be $4.1 trillion this year, federal government. It's going to be $5.1 trillion in 4 years. There's no way. Every dime of that's coming out of the economy into Washington's hands. There is no way we can reach our economic potential if that continues. And I have news for you. It's going to. And I got
And interest
other news
rates
for you.
are going up as well, guys.
One at a time. Go ahead.
Republicans are doing absolutely nothing about it. I hear one or two people say it and then they drop it. That's got to change ultimately, or else. I promise you, or else.
Yeah, Scott, I mean, that is always the cry. It's always there, and it's always meaningful. We just spend like there's no tomorrow, like we got a printing press in the basement. Oh,
And
wait.
we get it, Melissa, we get it for free, too. Don't forget, historically low interest rates have let us basically borrow for free. The Federal Reserve came out earlier this week, talked about more interest rate hikes. That means the cost of debt is going up, my friends.
All right, guys, thanks to all of you. Coming up, President Trump calling out at the UN. He says they're not paying their fair share. Does he have a fair argument? We do the math. You decide.